Right now, the WNBA is in one of the strangest positions we've seen in league history. On one hand, teams like the Indiana Fever should be deep into off-season planning, free agency talks, and building around their young stars. On the other hand, everything is happening under the shadow of a league-wide lockout and ongoing labor negotiations. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes tension you don't usually see this publicly in women's basketball, and it's got front offices, players, and fans all trying to figure out what actually can and can't happen. What makes this moment even more unusual is that technically, the WNBA free agency has opened. The calendar says it's time, but instead of the usual wave of signings, trade news, and big breaking announcements, we're watching a very cautious, limited process unfold because of a procedural loophole in the current collective bargaining agreement. So, you've got this bizarre split screen. The league is in a lockout, normal operations are frozen, yet certain contract activities are still going through. Qualifying offers are being sent out, restricted free agency rules are still in play, and all of this is happening while the Players Union is telling its members, essentially, do not sign anything yet. To understand why this is happening, you have to zoom out and look at the timing. The League and the Players Association have been negotiating a new CBA. There was a key date on the calendar, January 9th. That was the deadline for the sides to either agree to a new deal, agree to extend the current one, or officially trigger a work stoppage that would change how everything operates. According to reporting from Front Office Sports' Annie Costabile, what actually happened is that January 9th came and went with none of those three things happening. No finalized new CBA, no extension, no formal stoppage triggered in a way that would automatically shut down certain procedural parts of the old agreement. When that deadline passed in silence, something very specific kicked in, what's called a status quo period. In plain terms, that means the league and union are still negotiating, but for now, everyone is stuck operating under the rules of the existing, not yet replaced CBA. It doesn't mean everything is normal. There is still a lockout that affects day-to-day interactions and basketball activities, but the legal framework for contracts hasn't been fully shut off. That little gap, that technical wrinkle in the timing, is what people are calling a glitch in the system. Because of that glitch, some portions of the normal off-season calendar have kept moving forward, even as everyone knows a brand new deal is coming. One of the most important pieces of that is qualifying offers. Starting on January 11th, just 2 days after that deadline passed, WNBA teams began issuing qualifying offers to certain players. Normally, this is a standard, expected part of free agency. This year, it feels almost like ghost free agency, where paperwork is being filed, but no one's sure if or when they should act on it. Qualifying offers serve a specific purpose. They allow a team to keep a restricted level of control over a player who is about to hit the market. Generally, these offers are extended to players who have finished 4 years of service in the league, or who are at the end of their 4-year rookie-scale deals. When a team sends a qualifying offer, they're essentially saying, we want to keep the right to match any contract you sign elsewhere, and we're backing it up with a 1-year offer at a defined amount. There's also the core designation, which is wrapped into all of this. If you're familiar with the NFL's franchise tag, you're in the right ballpark. A core designation allows a team to tag one of its most important players and hold on to them under a 1-year deal, even if that player would otherwise be headed toward true, unrestricted free agency. It's a powerful tool, and it can be controversial because it limits a star's ability to test the open market freely. In the WNBA's current system, these qualifying offers and core tags are the mechanisms that keep certain players in restricted free agency instead of allowing them to walk into unrestricted status. As long as those offers are out there under the existing CBA, the original team has the right to match any contract sheet another team puts in front of them. That can shape an entire roster strategy for a franchise, especially in this era where cap space and flexibility are everything. So, here's where it gets tricky. Under the rules that are still in effect, teams are allowed, and in fact obligated based on the calendar, to send out these offers, and that's exactly what they started doing on January 11th. On paper, free agency can move forward. On paper, players can negotiate, sign, and start mapping out their next step, but paper is not reality right now. Because the Players Association sees the bigger picture. They know a new CBA is coming. They know the financial structure of the league, salary cap, max deals, benefits, revenue sharing is potentially about to change. And they know that if a player signs a deal under the old numbers, they're stuck with it, even if the new agreement would have paid them more or offered better conditions.
That's why, even as qualifying offers and core tags go out, most players aren't rushing to commit. Breanna Stewart, star of the New York Liberty and vice president of the WNBA PA, has been very clear about the messaging coming from the union. She's explained that offers might be flowing only because the current CBA is written that way, not because it makes sense for players to rush into agreements at this exact moment. The association's stance is simple: be patient. Breanna has talked about how the Players' Executive Committee and the union overall are on the same page in encouraging everyone not to sign anything yet. If a player accepts a qualifying offer or locks into a new contract now, they're essentially freezing their value under the old rules. Once the new CBA is signed, there's no going back to renegotiate that number. In a league that already has a lot of ground to make up in terms of pay and investment, that's a huge concern. So, while teams are doing what they're allowed to do under the current technical framework, sending offers, issuing designations, and working within the letter of the old agreement, the players are in a way hitting pause themselves. You have this odd dynamic where part of free agency is moving forward mechanically, but the most important part, the actual signatures, are largely on hold. From the perspective of teams like the Indiana Fever, this is all incredibly complicated. Front offices are used to using this part of the calendar to build around their stars, plug holes in the rotation, make offers to key free agents, and plan for training camp. Instead, they're working in a fog. They can file the right documents and make their intentions clear on paper, but they can't be sure when they'll actually be able to finalize deals or what the financial environment of those deals will look like once a new CBA is set.
For players, especially those hitting free agency at a crucial moment in their careers, it's equally stressful. Some are coming up on what should be their biggest contracts. Others are trying to finally secure long-term stability. Restricted free agents, in particular, are in a delicate position. A qualifying offer signals that their team wants to keep them, but without a final CBA in place, they risk underselling their own value if they agree to terms too early. Then there's the symbolism of the lockout itself. Anytime a professional league hits this point, it's a reminder of how layered and fragile the relationship between owners and players can be. In public, we mostly see the finished product, the games, the jerseys, the highlights, the marketing campaigns. But underneath all of that is a massive structure of labor agreements, financial models, and bargaining sessions. What we're seeing in the WNBA right now is that structure under strain. The league is growing, the visibility is climbing, star power is at an all-time high, and with that growth comes a new level of expectation from players. They want and deserve a CBA that reflects what they bring to the table. Owners, on their side, are calibrating what they believe is sustainable and how far they're willing to go in sharing revenue and committing to long-term investment. The status quo glitch that Annie Costabile described isn't some conspiracy or sneaky backroom maneuver. It's more like a side effect of how the old contract was written and what happens when deadlines are crossed without a full resolution in place. It buys both sides time to negotiate without fully shutting off the engine of league business, but it also creates weird, half-open doors like the one we're seeing with free agency right now. Meanwhile, fans are left in a strange place too. Usually, this time of year is when fan bases are glued to their phones watching for alerts. Who's re-signing, who's leaving, who's getting cored, who's teaming up where. Instead, everyone is hearing phrases like qualifying offer, restricted free agent, and status quo period more often than seeing actual news about their favorite players committing to specific teams. The lack of a clear timeline only adds to the uncertainty. As of now, there's no public date circled on the calendar where the league and the WNBPA are expected to finalize the new CBA. Both sides are continuing to work, and by all accounts, negotiations are active. But until there's a real agreement, one that both owners and players sign off on, everything we're seeing remains provisional. That's why when you zoom out, this moment becomes a case study in how complex professional sports really are behind the scenes. A lockout doesn't just mean no games. It also means front offices trying to forecast what a new deal will look like without full information. It means agents advising players to wait, even when they're anxious for security. It means union leadership like Breanna Stewart sitting in meetings instead of just working out and game planning. And it means that even something as simple as a qualifying offer is complicated by the knowledge that a better, more modern structure is just around the corner.
So for now, the WNBA sits in this unusual in-between. The Indiana Fever and every other franchise have technically stepped into free agency. Qualifying offers and core designations are being processed as required under the outgoing agreement, but the real action, the big signings, the reshaping of rosters, the full impact on the 2026 season and beyond is on pause. Players are listening to their union, teams are waiting on the final numbers, and everyone is watching to see when the new CBA will finally be done so that free agency can truly begin without asterisks or hesitation. If you're a fan, this is the moment to pay attention not just to who your team might add, but to how the league itself chooses to value its athletes going forward. Because once this new agreement is in place, it won't just shape one offseason, it will define the rules of the game, on the court and at the negotiating table, for years to come.